Okay, this is pink. Am I gay? Are you undecided? By Philip Lesbirel. I guess I'll find out by reading this.
This is Audible.
Okay, recording. This book must never be considered a reference manual or a scientific study. This book is written by a gay man and is considered his thoughts and observations, and not of any medical or scientific substance. The author is gay, and what is written within these pages are his observations, his research through many online sources, and in some cases, plagiarized from articles found normally online. My interest in writing this book came from an article I read online by Christine Weber, psychotherapist, entitled Am I Gay? And it caught my eye and my interest. Unfortunately, due to copyright, I am unable to show this article in this book. There are many theories pertaining to this subject, many scientific, many through university research. Some you will find are positive results of many years of research with true scientific results. But unfortunately, some are of a religious research, biased towards their own religion. They find the answers they were looking for through biased data. Only the reader can decide his own sexuality, whether the person is male or female. They are the only people who can seriously state, I am gay. Can a gay man change his sexuality and no longer be gay? We are gay because of our own genetics and not influences around us. So even though we might hide our sexuality, marry, and even have children, the stress of hiding our true sexuality seldom remains hidden, and it usually bursts forth at a later time. I personally hid my sexuality for 35 years before finally coming to terms with its reality. 35 years of living a lie is hard to bear. When did I know I was a gay man? During my late teens, when I enjoyed male-to-male sex, governments started to introduce laws and legislation against homosexuality, and many went to prison just because they loved a member of their own sex. I was scared and sought an alternative lifestyle and married. But it was never a proper marriage, and for that I apologize to my ex-wife. Love is love, whether it is heterosexual or homosexual. It is love between two people and not a disgusting act of depravity. Sex is a beautiful act between man as a species, and man's body is made to accept and enjoy sex as an act of reproduction. Our genes at conception determine who we will be, male or female. Our gender does not determine our sexual orientation, but scientists theorize this occurs later in the fetal gestation. Whatever your mother's womb decides is not reversible. To be born gay cannot be reversed through prayer or medical science. We are who we are. Medical science has advanced to such a point that they can alter gender, but not 100%. A man converting to a woman can have sex with a man as normal a woman can, but can never have a child as their internal body structure did not develop the ovaries to allow this when the boy was originally born, nor women changing their gender to male. They were not born with testes, so as such, even with full gender change, they can never produce sperm to impregnate their partner. No, they did the scientific term. But nature has a way of throwing a spanner into the works of everything. There have been known to be cases of children born with both sexual organs. Their parents decide their original gender, but later in life they decide their true gender, and gender orientation is performed. This usually produces a normal and happy person in their true gender. For myself, I am happy with the gender I was given, and now happy to be a gay man, with all the anger thrown at me through time. I would not have had it any other way. Did I exercise my true self through sexual encounters with other men during my closet days? Yes, but seldom and only in secret. An experience I wish I never have to repeat. I hope you enjoyed this book, and remember, it is the observations of a gay man and not a scientific manuscript and must be treated as such. Yeah, that doesn't take long. I don't know. At least we'll just get through the first real chapter. And okay. Sucks for you, man. Yeah. Well, that's fine. Okay. Chapter 1. Your own sexuality. Am I gay? This is an age-old question asked by every male youth during sexual maturity. Is the love of another man just infatuation for his body, his prowess on the sporting field, the girls he tends to attract, or the masculinity he oozes when he parades through the school hallways? Just because you admire him or fantasize about him in some way does not mean you are gay. Quite the contrary. We all model ourselves on someone whom we admire, our father, uncle, sporting hero, or maybe even a female to whom we relate to. But that does not make us gay. So what does make us consider ourselves as being a gay man? Do you fantasize when masturbating about a particular male you know? Or a specific sports star? Maybe a male model in a magazine hidden under your mattress? Jose left. Or male bodybuilder from your bodybuilding magazine. The care, the, the, the character in the book you are reading, and see yourself as a sexual partner to him in one of the scenes. This might be your first sign. Yeah. This might be your first sign to being possibly gay. Now, don't get upset right now. We all fantasize in some way about something when masturbating. We are entering a period of time when our hormones are becoming active, and as yet, we have not experienced sexual activity, but our body needs to practice just a little, hence masturbation. Masturbation is not a sin. It is nature's way of preparing you for life and its pleasures. Religion takes a dim view of male masturbation, and so do many parents with high religious views. But how else is a man to determine if he can have sex in the first place without practicing? Don't worry, you won't wear it out, so practice as often as you wish, even too many times each day if your body desires it. Sexual desire is what drives a male forward. In nature, the male of a species is there only to procreate the species. Their testosterone levels increase when amongst females as to their pheromones, and will fight other males to have the right to mate with as many females as his stamina can allow. Are we any different? We battle between ourselves for the right to procreate with a specific female. Although why man has restricted himself to monogamy is another story, but against nature in my opinion. What is love? Love is an emotion. Yeah, I knew that. Love is Love is an emotion driven by our own desires. It can be love of an animal, of a food, a town or city, a parent or sibling. But we always consider love to be that between two people. Yes, two people, and not just a man and a woman. In our modern society, man as a species is accepting homosexuality as an acceptable sexual deviation. However, it is the more advanced Western societies that accept it rather than third world countries. Why is that? We must remember that third world countries rely on their populations for their economy, their agriculture and populations to maintain those economies. Agricultural peasants work the fields mostly by hand and need extended families to bring their small holdings to become more profitable. Therefore, men need to marry and produce more males for the work. Females need to marry and have children to a male. Love cannot always play a part here, so many of the marriages are arranged, but still produce the extra hands to perpetuate the family needs. Homosexuality is not allowed nor condoned, as that male cannot contribute to the family. These males will leave the family and seek their own kind, but this is always fraught with danger. Many third world countries were part of some colonial property of a European country from the 15th and 16th century, and with the colonialists came with religious zealots, the missionaries, who were mostly from the Catholic religion. They preached the word of God and demanded absolute adherence to their preachings. This was also a time of the Inquisition and total obedience to the Holy Roman Church's law. Homosexuality, although practiced by their priests and monks, was outlawed as they demanded the colonial powers put strict laws governing these practices into the law of the land. Love is not unlawful. It is God's teaching to love thy neighbor. The Holy Scriptures were written by man for man, with man's morality of that time. The New Testament was mostly written in the 6th and 7th century by the monks of various Roman Catholic denominations. Many of the texts were removed and never used in the New Testament. So how are we to know if one of the disciples didn't write something condoning homosexuality and accept it as a natural occurrence of man through the ages? Modern society throughout most Western countries accepts homosexuality as the third sex. However, religious groups cannot accept our third sexual leaning, except one. The Methodist Church in South Africa accepts and will marry same-sex couples, a forward-thinking religion. Yeah. The hardest thing for a male to do is to understand and accept his homosexuality. A nasty word, so from now on I will use only the word gay. Much happier sounding word and several meanings other than our use in this book. Until you experiment with sex, you cannot be 100% sure of your sexuality. Do you love to be around women, or do they scare you? I was never scared of women as such, but the thought of sex with them scared the bejeevers out of me. But not with men. I was happy to search out men for sex, but avoided places where women searched out men. Oh, I see. Can men be raped by a woman or women? Yes, they can, for I was one such unlucky individual. Maybe it was this that finally pushed me over the edge. Women believe that they are the only ones that are raped. But in reality, a woman can rape a man and still, when in a court of law, demand the man raped her. I was a salesman for a trousseau company, selling these wedding trousseau chests to women at parties just like Avon or many of the other party plan products. I always enjoyed Avon parties. As I was demonstrating my wares, I noticed the women, numbered about 8, whispering amongst themselves. They then decided to play a game, and I was to be included. But I was told I had to change into a costume. Oh, Mike's gone. And Adam. Yeah, hopefully. Okay. I was told I had to change into a costume, and was dragged away into a bedroom by 2 of the girls, and it was there they systematically groped and fondled me, and then tried to work me up for sex. I was a gay man. I was a gay man, but I was not a eunuch, and after a little time, I was aroused, and they then set about the sex act. It was non-consensual and not looked for. If I had given any indication as to my desire for sex, then I was not aware of it. I was upset and cried all night once I was on my own. I had been violated. From that day, I decided that sex was for men and not women, and my fate was sealed. I was then a gay man. Reluctantly or willingly, in my eyes, it was now willingly. Your decision to seek out gay men for sex is the hardest thing your mind will ever encounter. It is against all the thinking of the norm expected of a man, or son, by parents, workmates, school classmates, and society in general. Your mind has not decided what it is yet. Are you gay or straight, active or passive? Looking for sex too has its problems. Do you look in cottages or local toilets? Maybe gay bars or clubs? No. But all are fraught with danger in some ways. Unless your local police turn a blind eye to gay men meeting in local toilets, you could be arrested if they raid it. Cottages are similar, so danger is there too. Gay bars are maybe the safest, although it is usually for the clientele to be experienced gay men and not all newcomers. So your naivete will show through, and it is usual for the active male to see this and approach you. Until you experience both sides of gay sex, you cannot determine your own position in relation to your own personal desires. If you like the guy first up, then go with him and experience what he offers. It is the same with gay clubs, and you are likely to be picked up by an active rather than a passive man. However, in saying that, if you have it planned to try to be an active partner, and have planned where and when, then look around and see what is parading itself around the bar or club. Then make your choice. Beware the toilet facilities at shopping centers or department stores. These places are usually under camera surveillance, and security guards will eject you if they see your purpose, or arrest you and pass you on to the police. My own first time was at a club. I saw a guy coming towards me and thought, he's nice, maybe he wants me. He did. But he dragged me into the toilet first, and passed me, heavy and consistent kissing, and fumbled my genitals. My cock rose instantly, so he dragged me into the cubicle and then proceeded to excite me more. Then just turned away from me, dropped his pants, and I entered him. He was my first, but certainly not my last. But I didn't feel satisfied after the sex. Something wasn't quite right, so I waited near the toilet door, and when I saw a guy I liked, entered after him. And while he pissed in the trough, I groped his ass and kissed the back of his neck. He turned around while still pissing, wetting my new designer jeans, and grabbed me by the head and kissed me full on the lips. I then dragged him into the cubicle, and he proceeded to fuck the ass off of me. I was hooked. I wanted to be the passive from that day, and so sort active partners. But you can't always pick them correctly. Some active men like it both ways. Some active men like it both ways, so you need to understand both ways, active and passive, regardless of your personal choices. Of course, you will be nervous the first time you try and find a man for sex. That's natural. But without trying male-to-male sex, how can you determine if you prefer it, or it was just a fantasy in your mind? Many won't like gay sex and will then know they are definitely looking for a woman for their life choice. Although, in time, you might graduate back towards the gay scene as your first encounter may not have been satisfying enough for you to make a choice, and that first encounter scared you off for a while. We are all different, but our needs are the same. We need to use our cocks to make love to someone, or be fucked to give us the satisfaction of having had sex. Being passive does not make you any less of a man. It's just a personal choice. Society puts gay men into little baskets, stereotypes if you wish. The swishing gay man with the limp wrist, or the gay man whose eyes are diverted every time a young man walks through the door. Well, let me assure you, there is no reason for you to be stereotyped. Be yourself is what the modern gay man is all about. If art is your thing, then the swish of your hips could be the look you want to portray. But if machinery fascinates you, then being a tradesman is not against the laws of being gay, nor being an unskilled worker. Gay men practice every trade, profession, and dirty job in every city on this planet, from street cleaners to mechanics to doctors to nurses or lawyers and everything in between. You are no different to any other male, and whatever you decide is your calling in life is still something a gay man can and does carry out as a job or profession. Okay, I'm back to examples now. I was a motor mechanic for 30 years and loved it. Yes, I was a gay man, but the unmistakable smell of grease and oil in your hair and the grease under your fingernails is as much a turn-on for some men as squeaky clean and smelling of aftershave. After my marriage eventually broke down, I had several male partners who were looking for blue-collar workers and not prissy boys in pink trousers. I still look for men in the trades rather than professional or white-collar workers. My current partner is also a motor mechanic and diesel fitter and African. Being gay does not limit people to European races. They are from every race on this earth. Unfortunately, many of our races are known for their boy toys, such as Thailand or Filipino. Singapore was once the capital of the lady boy, and I assure you they were spectacular. If you wanted a boy who looked like a girl, so don't limit yourself to the guy next door look. The next Asian guy or Indian guy who approaches you may be the man you want to spend the rest of your life with under your bed sheets. Being gay is a matter of experimentation, and without it, how can you be sure you have the best on offer and are happy being who you are? Try many things before you make that fateful decision. But please remember, use a condom until you are sure he is clean and the man you want in your life, AIDS, HIV, and VD, have not been eradicated and are out there waiting for the unfortunate and reckless. Having blood tests regularly to determine your HIV status and infection to other sexually transmitted diseases is a must and should be carried out regularly, at least every 3 months. There are many community health centers that will do these tests free of charge. There are many community health centers that will do these tests free of charge and are very private. And that's the end of chapter 1. Well, chapter 2 is a little interesting. Listen, I know that maybe you don't want to hear this, but I really think that chapter 2 is very interesting. All right. Yes, but the rape was done by a pack of women, 8 women. Chapter 2. Is anal sex all there is to gay sex? Isn't that enough? Fortunately, no. Gay sex is as varied as it is exciting. Anal sex is what all non-believers accept as gay sex, but sex does not need coupling to achieve satisfaction. Anal intrusion by one of the partners is a beautiful experience, although can be a little painful to begin with for the uninitiated, but you get used to it and accept it as part of the sex act. Just being close to another man, naked and fumbling each other, can be as satisfying as actual intrusion. Frottage is also another way the active partner can come without entering your body. Frottage. The practice of touching or rubbing against the clothed body of another person in a crowd as a means of obtaining sexual gratification. Origin, French. It is also a word used by artists for rubbing a work of art to produce a smooth surface. Are you a work of art? Whether you do this naked or while fully dressed is up to you. I prefer to start while fully dressed and then gradually undress and continue the act naked with my partner. Usually both partners can come simultaneously or within seconds of each other. I assure you, your energy levels will take a few moments or minutes to rise again before you even attempt anal sex, if at all. We all consider sex as an act that ends with a climax. But does that mean it must be anal for gay men? No. Men can climax in many ways and does not restrict itself just to anal penetration. Cocksucking. Have you ever sucked a man's cock? I assure you, it is delightful, but not something a gay man is born to do. It takes practice and the will to try, but once you experience it, you never stop. Sure, the first few times make you gag a little, but practice makes perfect, and every gay man becomes an expert at giving head. It doesn't matter if you are active or passive. The art of giving head is just as important. I'm just going to keep going. It doesn't matter if you are active or passive. The art of giving head is just as important. It is not the domain of the passive to give head. The active knows the pleasure it gives to his partner and will give it willingly. Now, we get into the more arduous methods, but equally stimulating ways to sexcite a partner. The tongue, finger, a dildo, and even the hand is as useful as a cock in arousal of a partner. During sexual activity, many active males will use one or more fingers up the anal passage to excite his partner. The perineum is located just inside the anal passage and is just as much a sexual organ as the penis. The stroking of this area during kissing and stroking of the penis excites the passive partner. Try it yourself when masturbating. Just a little spit on your middle finger and slide it in. Now stroke the inside of your ass. Get your finger in as far as possible. Even more than one if you feel like it. Dildo. A dildo is a sex toy, often explicitly phallic in appearance, intended for sexual penetration or other sexual activity during masturbation or with sex partners. The shape of a dildo can excite the perineum as much as a cock up your ass. It is a great tool to use while masturbating. But start small first and build up to larger and stranger shapes. A little lube goes a long way, so smother the dildo with lube, slide it in, and while masturbating, move it about inside you. Some dildos can be made to act as a cock ring and encase the lower part of your cock and balls, thus giving your cock some reluctance to spew forth until it can no longer hold it in. The ring is attached to an anal stimulator, which when moved about inside you will act like a finger or a simple dildo and stimulate the perineum. Warning: do not put anything up your anal passage you cannot remove with ease. It can be rather embarrassing when you attend the emergency section of your local hospital to remove the item lodged inside your anal passage. Believe me, even though medical records are sacrosanct, whispers of your endeavors will always reach your friends, somehow. Fingers. What? That is true. I mean, yeah, this book will probably be destroyed once I'm done reading it. Because, yeah, I would never be able to live that down. Fingers. As a movable object, the finger is paramount to enjoying the sexual act. The sphincter is as much a sexual organ as your penis. The feel of a finger sliding, with the aid of some lube, across your sphincter and rubbing it gently, then penetrating it is an unbelievable feeling. The finger only goes as deep as the active partner wants it to go, but usually it will stroke your perineum deep inside you and cause your cock/penis to rise to the occasion. A wet finger in the ear is also sexually inviting, and you may find the smell of the finger under your nose after having been withdrawn from the anal passage quite stimulating. The smell is of your own masculine smell or musk. I think that's shit, actually. Shit fingers. If this doesn't red pill you on gays, then I don't know what does. Tongue. Besides the tongue being essential to explore your mouth during kissing, the use of the tongue all over the body is a must, and that includes licking the ass and pushing the tongue inside the anal passage. Remind me to tell you about your personal hygiene later in the book. Most first-timers have a dislike to even try ass licking. Swallow your pride and try it. In fact, try everything. Then make your mind up as to what you like, dislike, and absolutely have to have. A wet tongue inside your ear is also delightful. Admittedly, some people do not enjoy this, so it's your choice, but let your partner try it a few times before you say no. Fisting. Not something for the faint-hearted. Not something for the faint-hearted, but some initiates take it like a fish to water. Fisting, handballing, fist fucking, brachiovaginal or brachioproctic insertion is a sexual activity that involves inserting a hand into the vagina or rectum. Once insertion is complete, the fingers are either clenched into a fist or kept straight. As I said, it is not for the faint-hearted, but if done by an expert, can be very satisfying for the receiver. Again, personal hygiene is paramount. The active partner lubes up his arm to almost the elbow, then puts his hand into an arrow shape with the fingers straight out, usually with 3 or more fingers to start with. The anal passage is also well lubed with a substance usually called boy butter, or in some cases just simple grease or lard. The fingers are then pushed into the anal passage slowly, then further in until the sphincter opens sufficiently for all fingers to enter. Once they are into the anal passage, the remaining fingers enter. Once all the fingers are inside you, the hand is then pushed inside, and once this has occurred, the wrist is less of a problem. Like a dildo, the wrist is like the narrow part of the dildo, so enters easily. Once the fingers and hand are inside, the active partner can then massage the perineum or ball his fist and pump his fist inside you against your lower and upper bowel. I've had this done to me several times, but to be honest, I prefer just a penis. Fisting is not for everyone, but some can't get enough of it. They get off on it. Nipples. As much a part of the male anatomy as it is for women. Sucking a man's nipple sends most into delirium, but not all. It is the act of a child feeding from its mother and is highly erotic between male and female partners, but equally so for same-sex partners. Some men enjoy their nipples being bitten, some quite hard. Nipples are also a sexual organ of a man, often used extensively in light and heavy bondage. That's another story for later in the book. No sane gay man would ignore his partner's nipples during cavorting and sexual embrace. The body. A gentle hand A gentle hand exploring the parts of a male body is a sensual act. Moving the hand up the thighs of your partner says what you want is between his legs. Gentle movement of your hands around his torso is as much a sexual act as the penetration, as it is telling your partner you want to explore his upper torso, his mouth, his nipples, his ears, his neck, his muscles. Every part of the male body has some significance to the sexual act. The sensual feel of a man's hand exploring your body, while you explore his, is part of what you might call the pre-sexual act. It is what your body responds to, and awakens it to his body and desires. Well, we're in chapter 2, and we have 3 more pages.
Audible hopes you have enjoyed this program.